What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training. And today we're going to be breaking down some of the biggest mistakes that you do not want to make as a wide receiver when you are doing one-on-one. So we're going to be talking about your hand technique versus a physical DB off the line and how you guys should never be dropping your hands, how you guys should never force a route to the leverage of a DB, and then how you guys can get more separation when you have to run like an inside breaking route versus inside leverage coverage. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it teaches you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to take your skills to that next level, you want to improve your route running, your releases, your catching ability, everything that you need to do to be a better wide receiver. We are traveling out to 6 different states across the country where you guys can have the opportunity to train with us this offseason. We're coming out to Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Los Angeles, California. So if you guys are local to one of those cities or would like to travel out, get some work in with us, check out that very first link in the description below for a two-day long camp, 4 hours each day. So fellas, love to have you out there. Let's get started with this video. So first things first, you never, one of the biggest mistakes that wide receivers make is that they will drop their hands when they're doing a release. So a lot of the times we talk about the feet. We talk about how to set up a DB, how to attack his leverage, how to step outside of his frame, but we don't talk enough about the hand technique because that is also very important when you're coming off the line. So let's watch this wide receiver here. He's trying to run a fade route, and this DB is going to end up jamming him all the way to the sideline. So he attacks him, and again, this DB does a solid job of getting hands. So how do I prevent this from happening? Because this happens more often than not, where wide receivers get squeezed, or not more often than not, but it happens a lot, where wide receivers get squeezed to that sideline. So you see when he comes off the line, a lot of wide receivers do this with their hands. Like I call it like playing basketball. They make a move and they'll open up their hands super wide. They'll act like they're almost doing like a crossover, if you will. And all that will do is expose your chest. So he comes off the line, he gives this move to the inside, and you see how his arm flies out to the side and his right arm is down by his waist. This is a position where your chest is completely exposed. So if you don't have your hands in a position ready to go, you're going to be jammed just like this. You're going to get knocked off the platform, you're going to be knocked off of balance, and you're going to get squeezed to whichever direction that DB wants you to go. Because DBs are taught when you get hands on, you're more likely to win the rep. And it's true. So you have to make sure that I don't let my hands drop and I don't swing open like so. So many wide receivers do this. I call it playing basketball. We never want to play basketball. We want to have my hands ready to go, and my hands are ripping across my frame, but I am ready to swat no matter what the case is. Because, guys, if you understand this, that when he gets hands on you and maybe I get him to be a little bit off balance, maybe I work him off the platform, and I'm able to get rid of his hand technique or get rid of his hands on me, almost pretend like you almost want to pretend like that DB's got like crap underneath his fingernails and you don't want to let him touch you, right? You don't want to let him touch you. Hands get off you. Never want to let him get hands on you. If you can set him up with your feet and get his hands off of you, his hips will lock out and we could get a ton of separation, fellas. So we have to make sure that we are ready to go with my hands. Now, a lot of wide receivers will take this the wrong way. They'll line up and they'll have their hands up by their chest and they'll be super tense at their shoulders. You don't want to do that either. Because if you're tense, you lack range of motion. And when you're tense, you can't really sell with your upper body because you're so stiff. So you want to be in a relaxed position like so. Just don't drop the hands and don't swing open the hands and expose your chest. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Again, right idea with the release, threaten him inside, but we got to be ready to fight those hands at all costs. Okay, so now, this route right here is going to be a post route. So I'm going to play this thing full speed, and then we're going to talk about why I'm not the biggest fan of this, but he tries to force a release. So that is one of the biggest mistakes that wide receivers will make in one-on-ones, is that when they're lined up against an inside leverage guy, they don't take what he gives you. So from a wide receiver perspective, going up against a DB, he's playing a leverage for a specific reason. That's always what we want to be thinking about. That's always the point of these videos, is to understand the IQ side of things. So this DB's lined up inside shade. So why is he there? Why in the hell would he ever be lined up inside shade? He's inside shade because he's trying to protect the inside. He is trying to stop us from running that post, from running a slant, from running a dig. He wants to force us outside. Because when he's inside leverage like this in a real game when we got pads on, usually what that means is that he does not have any help to the inside. Maybe it's cover 0, maybe it's cover 1, but he's trying to squeeze you to that sideline because that sideline is his help. He's completely fine with you running a comeback, running an out route. Maybe not necessarily fine with it if he gives up the route, but he would rather have you run those types of routes than an inside route because he does not have help. If you get a free release and run a post, he is going to be burnt and it's going to be an easy play for us. So he will do whatever possible to prevent that. So as a wide receiver, I need to understand that. But if if I come off the line and I try to force this inside release, this is exactly what's going to happen. DB is going to be able to get hands. We're going to have to fight through contact. But meanwhile, while you're doing this, that quarterback's getting pressure. The ball has already been snapped, so he's going through his progressions. And if I'm taking forever because I'm trying to run through a DB pretty much, and I'm getting squeezed to the inside of the field, that makes it that's horrible for us because that DB is all over us, and that screws up the spacing of the play. I'm running into other routes. Like, let's say, for example, this is like a post, and maybe the slot wide receiver is running a dig. Your post can't be a yard from the dig because I got rerouted. You have to take what the DB gives you. So what he should have done on this, and this is what a lot of wide receivers don't do this because they think every inside route they have to take an inside release. You can take the outside release and work to restack. You see it all the time. Guys post about or talk about, the throw by technique where you get this DB to open up with you and run, and they're both going here, and you'll throw him by and slip under. That's when you would use it, when it's at the top of the route and you didn't get that inside release, or when it's at the top of the route and maybe he's hip to hip with you. Or what you could do always is work to restack, and then it would be the same thing if you took the inside release and restacked. But no matter what, fellas, your separation is won and lost at the top of the route, not off the line. So if you think that, having to take an inside release is a must, that is completely false. A lot of people teach that too. A lot of people teach, what could the wide receiver do better on this route? And it'll be a post route where he'll go outside and he'll run super wide, and that DB will be here, and then he'll cut under and that DB recovers. And they'll say, why did that not work? It's because he took an outside release. That's not the case. It's because he ran the route poorly. If you guys are correct with your stem and correct with what you do at the top of the route, you will win the rep no matter what the situation is. But it starts with the release. Keep timing and keep spacing. That's the number one goal. So the second thing that wide receivers love to do, force the release. Please do not be that guy that forces the release against a specific coverage. Let's play it again, full speed one more time. Again, not a bad idea, but again, we just cannot force the inside release against inside shade coverage. All right, so last but not least, one of the mistakes that wide receivers love to make in one-on-ones is they try to be too choppy with their feet, or maybe try to be too urgent with their feet. They rush their feet, but they're not selling the route with their stride. Okay, so when you guys have a situation like this is going to be a slant route, right? You have kind of this inside shade, like catch technique coverage, which means it's about 2 yards off. So he's going to go with this little hesitation, then diamond release, right? So we know a diamond release is 3 steps on a 45-degree angle, right? You come off the ball, for example, like let's say he's in a stance right now, you would go right, left, right. 3 steps to that 45, and that gets that DB to flip. But here's the thing. If you're not actually running, that DB ain't going to actually run. He is going to try to stay square, which means keep his hips and shoulders facing you pretty much for as long as possible and stay in front of you. He is going to try to stay disciplined. I could care less about a bad DB. I'm trying to get you guys ready for a DB who's talented and is looking for these kinds of things. So when we come off the line here, what this wide receiver does, I'll play at full speed. He takes very choppy steps, right? And those choppy steps are not going to sell the route. That is how we have that DB all over my hip, being able to make a play, being able to flip his hips because he does not believe that we are running a fade. How would you run a fade in this situation? You would come off the ball, you'd give a little hesitation, then you would run as hard as you can in full stride, trying to restack, trying to get over the top so we could get him by a couple steps. That's what we got to make it look like when I'm doing a release like this. When I'm doing a diamond release like so, I can't hesitate and then take choppy steps. I got to be gaining ground. That second step can't be choppy. That third step can't be choppy. I got to be trying to get to the 30-yard line almost and taking a full 3 steps because those full 3 steps are A, going to be faster, but B, that's what makes that DB commit and actually think that you're trying to run around it. Think of it like a 40-yard dash. When you run a 40-yard dash, are you taking choppy steps? No, you're taking powerful strides, and then you're opening up the stride to try to accelerate and hit that top speed. That's how we have to run routes. You have to run routes without choppy steps, being able to cut in full stride. Now, it might seem a lot hard. It might be thinking like, hey, easier said than done, right? It's easy for you to say run in full stride, but it's very hard to break in full stride. And that's 100% true. And that's where you got to understand that there are a lot of things that you need to be doing in the offseason, not just running routes. You need to be improving your leg strength, your single leg strength, your ankle stability, your knee stability to be able to make these cuts. Because that's the magic formula, fellas. Everybody asks, what are the tips for this? What tips can I do to be a better this or that? And that's great questions, but this is something I always equate to it. You got to know when to do the stuff, but you also have to know how to do the stuff. That's the magic formula. Be able to improve those aspects of your game that will improve or that will allow you to make those types of cuts, but also know why you make those types of cuts and know when to make those types of moves at the top of the route, what have you. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver. This is the right idea of a release, but got to make sure we are in full stride to flip those DB's hips. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. You guys help keep the channel going, so we always appreciate it. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, we are traveling out to Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Los Angeles, California for 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camps. So if you guys want some more information on that, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.